10:01 on this Thursday. I thought it was done. 10:01 on this Thursday. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. I know Adam's excited, but it is 10 o'clock in the morning. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Thank you, Weathergate, for pointing out that it is International Left-Handers Day. Southpaws have to unite. I was just talking about this the other day. I think it was with Meyer. I can't remember who it was. About how it was always frustrating, even all the way into college days, getting into a classroom, and you would always have all the desks were always designed for right-handers, and you would get in, you'd always have to find that one desk. There's always just one that was designed for a left-hander. Otherwise, it got really awkward on how to place your notepad, because I always had to tilt my paper to right to be able to turn to take notes in class. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, type 1. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then don't type anything. But as left-handers always say, we're always in our right mind. And usually, most left-handed people I've met are very good with a lot of visual stuff, graphics, and tend to be in weather, honestly. So I've always wondered if sometimes they're big gamers, usually too. Video gamers are left-handers. So I've always wondered if there's a relation to that. But maybe I'm just, throwing out theories. We'll get a lot of Southpaws in here. Well, hello, you Southpaws. How are you doing today? Sean, thank you for the video yesterday on X. Appreciate that. Showing those, and I call them the Independence Day clouds that roll in. It was like the spaceship, the shelf cloud, always eerie looking, right? Thank goodness we didn't have anything major, though, because it got a little eerie there for a while. It wasn't a very volatile atmosphere as far as tornadoes or anything like that, but we had the one that touched down in Indiana on the Wabash, and it immediately did damage. As soon as that report came in, we're like, well, now we've got a supercell. Where's it going to go? But we got lucky that as it made its journey, and you could really track the spin of the entire supercell, it stayed intact all the way to Tennessee. I mean, this thing went all the way across southern Kentucky, just didn't produce any other additional tornadoes. Just had a few close calls at times with it, but that was really the main feature in town. Anything else that you witnessed yesterday was mainly just the heavy rain, which has been a problem, don't get me wrong. But it wasn't as volatile of a day, which wasn't surprising because we didn't have a chance to get into the 90s or anything. We held on to the clouds for a while. So it was all about the fuel and how that played out. Okay, so what about today? Well, today it's still the same atmosphere, by the way. We have yet to have a cold front to come through, and we're not going to get a cold front to come through until maybe Monday night. Until then, it's the same atmosphere. All we're doing is just shifting around the fuel in places, and some of the heat will get distributed in different spots. But we're just kind of just moving things around. Kind of, if you're like me, when I clean house, I just move things around. That's my way of cleaning. Don't really seem to throw away anything. I just kind of shift it around. Like, oh yeah, that looks a lot better now. It looks like a brand new home. The atmosphere is doing the same thing, just reorganizing, if you will. So you're not going to see a lot of change to get out of the severe talk until we really get a front to change our air mass around. And we got a few days before that happens. Doesn't mean we're going to have storms every single day. It's all about how that's all distributed, as I talked about, between the moisture and the heat. How does that all overlap? And at times it will be displaced enough to where we don't have too much to worry about on the storm side. I will explain, I promise. Let's start, though, with the severe risk as it stands now. Today, it's a marginal. And as of now, I don't think this is going to change. And if it did change, it would be for Indiana counties, far northern Indiana, section of counties that we have, not Indiana itself. Indiana, probably same idea. If there's any upgrade to site, it would likely be in that area. Tomorrow, I don't think we're going to have enough of a kick. We are going to be hotter, so there is going to be a little bit more of your ability to get some pulse severe. We get into that game a little bit. Then eventually there's so much heat, not only at the ground level, but above our head, that it caps the atmosphere by the time we get into Saturday. And you'll be lucky if you get a cumulus cloud to form, let alone a thunderstorm. So things will be evolving as the heat becomes more and more dominant in our atmosphere and just about every layer. And that's going to make a huge difference on the thunderstorm side. However, as you know where I'm going with this, it is going to be a problem on the heat index side as it's about to become a sauna. I hope you have plans to be near a pool, a water park. I guess still the water parks are still open on weekends, right? I know they're not during the week for school, but I'm thinking they're still open on weekends. So they're going to be packed. They're going to be packed. Okay, so let's dive into it. Let's start first with the live look. Where this looks better. This was some of the fog we had earlier in Eton. You could barely even see Freeman Lake there, but visibility was poor because the ground was wet. We had a little bit of modest clearing, so that dropped visibility in several spots, but we've improved to what is considered the average or good, which is 10 miles. That's where it stops at here. So we're in good shape there. So let's discuss rainfall first, because that's something we need to certainly focus on for those of you in our northeast sections. I know, Carrie, I saw your comment. You haven't had much rain. Even in Jefferson County yesterday, as you'll see, it was a huge difference in rain. I picked up more than 3/4 of an inch. 3 or 4 red lights down for me, barely 1/10 of an inch. So it's a huge difference on who got quite a bit of rain out of this scenario the past few days. Some of you needed the rain, don't get me wrong. Some of you are like, I'm done, I'm sick of it. Today, we still have that wet ground, and that's going to work against us on the heat index side starting today. You'll notice a difference if you haven't already. We're in the 70s now. We're going to heat things up with dew points already close to 80 back into Owensboro. Ugh, it's a nasty air, right? Air you can wear. Probably number 3 of our favorite weather puns. But that will be the game plan. High amounts of moisture that will be in the air today. And it's led to already heat advisories and extreme heat warnings. Not in wave country, but right up against wave country. And yes, you are likely going to see both of those types of alerts expand into most, if not all, wave country in the coming days. We're going to get into a advisory or warning scenario. So I want you guys to have fun, relax. It's been a stormy few days. You want to get out, hang out by the pool, that's fair. If you have to work out in the yard, I don't recommend it in this kind of hot, humid environment. So get your yard work done while it's at least a little cloudier out and hazy. Otherwise, you don't want to be out working this weekend and planting. Not that anyone's doing a whole lot of planting usually at this point in August, but some of you have to get out in the fields and do a little bit of the harvesting, getting ready for that idea. Take care of the corn, getting ready for that switch of the season here, right? Just take it slow as you venture out, because the heat will certainly be on the increase. Okay, I think this is the rainfall, right? Yep. Okay, this is the rainfall just in the last 24 hours. Anywhere you see yellow, these are estimates of at least 2 inches of rain, which you can tell by looking at it. It was not widespread, but it did hit, once again, Jennings County, put them back under a flash flood warning last night until midnight. We picked up 1 to 2 inches there into the I-71 corridor. Jefferson County, hard to see there. I'll zoom in a second. But Jefferson County was very split. Then we had the pocket heavier rain that maintained there across, I don't know what happened to my pen, in the Bluegrass Parkway area. Not much between E-Town and Marion County there. Hodgenville, too. You guys had a little bit of a lull, got missed. And here, this is what's fascinating about looking at the rainfall. Can you tell where the supercell was that came through yesterday? This is where it started, and there's the journey of it. Tracked right through the Du Bois County area, all the way into Breckenridge, Grayson, and then kept on spinning down to Adair. Pretty fascinating when you can see the rainfall go with the path that it was taking, but pretty wild. All right, as promised, I would get into Jefferson County, and again, you can see I live not too far away from Highview, Fern Creek area. So yeah, I got that higher little dose of rain, which is nice. But again, not many of you in the city picked up a whole lot. So what about for the entire week so far? Well, you can see the problem we've had here to Jennings County, Madison, Carroll County as well. You guys have had more than 6 to 8 inches of rain in this scenario. So you are the area we're most concerned with for any other additional thunderstorms for the next few days until you have a chance to get your water table to go back down and reset. And this will include today. If there's any downpour, just 1 hour of it, and you're going to run into a problem quickly. The rest of the area can actually handle overall bouts of heavy rain. And that's even Louisville. Louisville can handle about 1 to 2 inches of a rain event the next couple of days, and overall can get a flood advisory, but I doubt you'll get a flash flood warning. But we have some wiggle room for the rest of the area. But for our northeast section, eastern side here, wave country, it's a different story on that. And the Weather Prediction Center has acknowledged that. They have capped the moderate risk. You have to look at these the same way we do the severe weather risk, right, of the marginal and slight. They're about to add, where they're considering it, I think it's going to be next year. There's going to be an enhanced category now for the rainfall outlook. So it will match identical to the severe thunderstorm aspect of their categories. So there will be 5. Right now, there's just 4. Anyway, there is the moderate risk of flash flooding, is basically what this means. In that same spot, I just basically highlighted that's already picked up a lot of rain. Pretty self-explanatory on that idea. Any questions so far on that? Hit over 2 inches of rain, Michelle said, in the past 48 hours in Breckenridge County. You had multiple cells in Breckenridge County, to one end of Breck to the other. Heck of a storm, Olivia said. Yeah, that cell that popped into your area in Trimble County, Henry County, it just did not want to move last night around midnight. We had another one, too, into Bedford. I believe it was this morning we had one in Bedford that stretched out for a while. Had one small downpour, I believe, near Pioneer Village, Heritage Creek, for an hour this morning, too. So they've been pretty spotty. But, again, when you've gotten these downpours, you will know it. The lightning has been pretty wild as well. Let's see. Some of the comments are a little interesting today. When is the heat ridge going to break down or shift west? Jeremy, we'll get to that. Okay, everyone good? I just want to double check. Oh, Rhineyville. Yeah, the storm Rhineyville last night was pretty wild. Of course, Ron Hoke was on with that here streaming right when we had a brief rotating part of that cell, but nothing developed out of that, thank goodness. But Rhineyville, no stranger. Rhineyville's no stranger to tornadoes. You guys have come up many times for having wild severe weather events there. Okay, so let's dive into what we're looking at now on the radar. Nothing severe, that's good. Very messy look to the radar today. The wind field is not very strong, so these are just kind of like, yeah, you know what? They're the kind of showers just want to do whatever they want to do. And they'll maintain themselves for like 10, 20 minutes. They're gone. They'll come back, maybe bring a friend. And that will be the storyline today. Just kind of a messy, disorganized setup on thunderstorms and downpours. So in fact, right now in this particular view you're looking at, there is only one lightning strike. So there's not a lot of thunderstorm action here. But as we heat up today, I'm sure we'll add more strikes into that. Let me scoot over a little more west. You can see there's a few more drifting in. But these are very disorganized downpours. But as I mentioned, with them moving without much of a tailpipe, there will be localized, 1 inch amounts out of these, maybe even a tad higher. So these can still catch you off guard today. It's just nothing catastrophic or anything. It's coming into play here. Not enough for even alert day status, but I don't want to downplay, say that nothing's going to happen here. I do think you may get 1 or 2 of these that may drift over us. It may take all day to get them all the way through from one end of wave country to the other. But there is another MCS. I know you guys are excited, and it's already on the map. It is currently located up to the north right now. You can see we got that hazy sky. Hard to tell probably from this image. It is a dark image, but I like that because that's literally what you're seeing when you're looking from space. Obviously, you don't see the lines of the interstates and the city names from space. That'd be kind of cool if you did. All right, here's the MCS. What do you know? Midwest again. The wind field today, the train track today for these storms, takes it across Illinois into Indianapolis to about Columbus, Ohio. However, as you guys are aware, being on the blog all the time, these complex of storms love to feed on higher amounts of moisture and heat. Like Pac-Man, they will want to be attracted to that. So the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center, while it is a marginal, it does have that slight turn to it, a little more away from the wind field, just to signal that some of them may be attracted to our region because we are so attractive. And we may see a couple of these storms that may try to build a little more south. I don't see a repeat of what we had yesterday in the organization of these storms. But as I mentioned, if there is any type of slight risk change that could come into play today, it would be found more so into this area here of Indiana and Ohio. It would just basically extend out just a hair more. Otherwise, not a huge ordeal. Most of it's going to stay to our north. But if you are traveling north on 65 or up 71, just be aware that you may be right in the path of that MCS later on today. Tomorrow, severe risk, about the same, very wavy, right? And it's just a little belt of wind that's not very strong, that it drifts across the Ohio Valley and just kind of, it's very lazy. When you have that kind of a wiggle pattern to it, tells you there's just not a very organized boundary. It's likely a stationary front. In this case, it's basically what it is. As we get into Saturday, it's a little bit more turned and extreme, if you will, on its placement, more into the upper Midwest. But the reason for that is because the heat is going to be building in and really pushing in, allowing again for warm temperatures and multiple layers of the atmosphere. I can't talk today. Multiple layers of the atmosphere, therefore capping the atmosphere too. Any boundaries showing up on satellite? Chris is asking. Nothing that would signal a focal point for new storm development. There's no dominant massive outflow like we had from previous MCSs. It's very messy today. There's a lot of little ones. And all that would do, we'll just keep the radar, again, very blotchy on the downpours today. But most of your track is going to follow the train track itself, the main belt of wind, which, again, is not overly strong, but strong enough that it'll guide that MCS to the north. We'll just have to watch and see if it can build any more south. And that, if there's any sign of that, we'll obviously let you know. We'll know here in about 4 hours if we feel that it's going to be building a little more into wave country. We'll give you enough of a heads up to let you know. Otherwise, I think right now it'll be close. But I think Indianapolis, yet again, may be another zone to have to watch. I feel for them. They've had a rough season altogether in Indy, haven't they? Non-stop. Let's see. Wish they found another path. It's at 71. I know. It's a lot of it is geography, where we're placed at, but yeah, it's just kind of it's just how it turns out on timing when storms roll off the Rockies too, and heating of the day. There's a lot of different factors. One day I'll do a whole blog if we want to and discuss our location and why weather patterns happen the way they do, why fronts hit certain areas than others. Does the Ohio River affect the weather? Does Patoka Lake affect the weather? I've heard so many different theories. Everyone has their own opinion of it all. It'd be fun one day to just discuss all those, nuances about weather and on climate in our area. Maybe we'll do that one day. Today's not the day, but we'll do it soon. Fair? Hey, Carrie, the radar showed lots of lightning strikes ahead of the storm yesterday. How accurate is the lightning on radar? It is very accurate. 10-minute strikes is the count on that, and it is nearly instant. And I have said many times on the Wave Weather app, you will see the flash at your window and that crackle, especially if it's close to you, and that lightning indicator goes off in the Wave Weather app. You hear Kevin's voice instantly. It's pretty wild how quickly that happens. So if you just need your phone for a lightning indicator, if you're working outside, I'm telling you, the Wave Weather app will let you know. And we've got it set to I think you can change your radius. I'm not entirely sure on that, but it's roughly about 7 to 10 miles that you'll get a heads up of something nearby, because lightning can strike to about 10 miles out from a storm, even if it's sunny over your head. It can reach you that far out. Okay, real quick, let's get into the Futurecast in the short term. I'll get into next week. Today's outlook, the models are not going to do great. As always, there's just, when you got a very weak wind field and disorganized mess, every single update is going to look just slightly different than the other. But got to give you some kind of a storyline to go with. And this one's a fair one. All that gold color there, we do have clouds painted in this, but the gold color is your fuel. Red is not as much fuel, but still some. And obviously you got your rain on the Futurecast pointed, and even shows some of the lightning strikes at times. Okay, let's move it along. 2 o'clock, we've got probably the mostly cloudy sky, actually. Not a lot of sun, really hazy. A lot of fuel, but not a lot of wind or tailpipe. So it's just very random on these storms popping up today, drifting on by. Some lightning strikes at times, so be aware of that. This will continue. You start to see some hints behind the banner of that MCS showing up And the HER model, especially here, likes to keep it as the I-70 issue, doesn't really try to build it too much to the south. We'll see. One thing that is interesting is that later on, after the MCS, I should have drawn this on the other map, but after the MCS passes by to our north late this afternoon, this evening, the tail of that will try to push down into southeast Indiana. The only concern I have with that is going to be the potential for yet another round of heavy rain that could develop for tomorrow morning in that same spot that's been hit hard with heavy rain. We feared that could happen this morning. We had some downpours around, but it didn't really materialize the way some of the data was indicating. Not complaining, that was a good thing. But once again, that is trying to hint that it could happen again. It's the same cause here that's happening. It's the tails of these MCSs that are leading to that. So I just want to caution you that as we move along, we may see at least some potential for that. And as you look at, here we are, 8 a.m. tomorrow, you see the tail does arrive, and it's got a much more of a stormier look tomorrow morning. We'll wait and see if this is a one-off or if this is something other high-risk data as it gets a little more closer in range. One of the key models that I really like is not running. It has not been running for 24 hours now. It's down. And it did the best with severe weather earlier this week, so it's a little frustrating. But anyway, we'll see. But again, if that tail, let me rewind this, back it up. As that tail drops down late tonight, early tomorrow, there is a chance we could get some heavier rain in Indiana up 71. Sorry, Kathy. But we'll watch it and see. I don't think it's anything to get too alarmed about right now, but it is on the radar. Weather pun number 2, maybe. Then after that, it's all about the heat. And that leads us into the outlook from the Euro as we head into the weekend. Mid-90s are reachable. The data is trying to take us to the upper 90s to lower 100s. That looks too high, especially with such a humid and wet ground that we have established. But the heat index, oh yeah, 105 to 108 is likely. That's why I think we're going to get advisories for that. But what will the actual temperature be? We'll wait and see how well the models do, especially tomorrow. We start to get into the 90s a little bit more so into tomorrow. There is a way, though, that the heat this weekend can get interrupted. I don't see it really happening on Saturday, but on Sunday, later in the day, there will still be some MCSs going on. While we're enjoying being in our version of Death Valley, California, there is going to be a chance to get some of these MCSs to the north that will try to push down south. Now, we're going to be capped, so I don't know if they'll have any luck, but that can be a one-off sometimes. And heat, it could really bust your heat forecast completely and interrupt it. I don't know if anyone will complain, but the problem with that is that anything that moves into this kind of heat would likely be quite intense. So we really don't want that to happen. I think storms just need to leave us alone for a few days. That'd be nice. I know it's going to be hot, but, you know, that's all right. Just hang back, because eventually this will move back down as a front. We're thinking Monday. Rain chances go out. Too early to talk about severe right now. That's something that we'll watch. Wouldn't surprise me that may grow into more of a severe risk into Monday. Still a lot of questions on the timing and approach. This is where we get that humidity reset that was showing up around the 17th originally. It looked like we were going to get maybe some cool air and the reset with humidity. Now, while we're going to be cooler than the mid-90s, I don't know if we're going to get a huge cool wave. We're talking like 86, 87 instead of 95. I mean, that's all right. That's doable, but humidity will be lower, not low, but lower to get our lows at night in the 60s instead of around 80. And it won't last very long. We do build back up because it's written in the Constitution, I'm pretty sure, that we have to heat up for the state fair. So we heat back up by the time we get into Thursday. And whether or not we get more storms or not in the extended, we'll worry about that later. There's a lot of weak fronts that keep showing up. And once we get later into August and into September, the models are really all over the place. There are some that really like a fairly dramatic cool down at some point in the next 2.5 weeks, a significant one, in fact. And there are others that give us the hottest weather of the entire summer. So it becomes very divided as we head further into the end of summer and beginning of autumn here soon. So I'm still working on that outlook to try to nail down a bit more of a consensus of how that will appear. So if you're wondering why I haven't talked much about long term, it's because it's a bit of a mess. some of the more reliable data doesn't seem to be making sense what normally happens. But this is an anomaly setup here with El Nino getting stronger and stronger. So I'm trying to also be aware of that too. So it's just a lot of things to think of. And there's only so much of my brain that I have that works. So I will try to get it organized here for you soon. All right, let's get into the 10-day. And then I'll get to last minute questions before I head out. There's the heat for the weekend. We'll keep those low rain chances in. I don't think we can remove them for the weekend, just in case an MCS does move in. Otherwise, Monday should be the more active day. And then a small reset before we build back up later into next week. Questions? What'd you say? Allison, your comment went by so fast. Yeah, remember when we used to get off worst seasons in 1 week? That'd be nice right now. Yeah. Don't worry. It's about to happen, I'm sure. Hey, Sean. Brian, you're saving my Sunday. Going to be in a suit and probably pass out from the heat exhaustion. Yeah, well, good luck, by the way. But yeah, it will be definitely a hot day being in that suit. That's all right? You got to be out. You got to be out enjoying the day no matter what. It's your day. Hey, Jedediah, how long have you been typing in the blog here with Snow NATO? It's been at least 15, 16 years, right? Something like that. I'm not complaining. If you're not here, then I worry. So, is it Joanne? Is that right? Sorry, it's hard to see the names from here. I've only gotten a half inch of rain there in E-Town. Yeah, I mean, you still got some opportunity. Today, even, you can get one or two of those downpours. It's just all about being at the right place at the right time. I don't know if that makes sense. But how these evolve when they're very just, blotchy, that's where why do Mets skip 50%? Because 50-50 is an odd way to handle, and it's opinion just of meteorologists. Weather Service still does it, but 50-50 is the same as just, flip a coin. That doesn't seem to be a fair forecast in our eyes anyway. Either you're more confident that it's not going to happen or you're more confident that it will happen, but confident that it could be either one. Well, that's fair. We don't control the weather. It's just we have enough data now in the world that we can lean one way or the other. So that's why we, in particular, are not fans of 50%. We try to do lean one way or the other. Otherwise, I think I would put 50% almost every day. No matter what, I would put 50% because I would be 100% right. That's too easy. Not worth it. All right, guys, you seem to be in good shape. Listen, thanks for watching. As always, we appreciate you taking time, especially on your busy day. We'll be back on tomorrow. I am not sure if I think Olivia does have her blog tomorrow, so that means mine will be a little bit later, a midday blog tomorrow. But we'll keep an eye on the storm chances today. If you hear us make some noise about things are shifting, then I think you guys are pretty used to us now. That if we're getting louder on our push alerts or more frequent, then something's changing and evolving. And if you don't hear from us, that usually is actually an even better thing. So no offense, but I hope you don't hear much from me for the rest of the day. But if you do, we'll let you know what's going on and we'll take it step by step. Take care, everybody. I'll see you soon on the flip side. All right. Take care.